Sure. All right, welcome everyone. This is Nathan. We're here with the Gunfighter sessions again.
Let's make fun of him. I'm just joking.
I've got the air assault voice tonight because I did the max heart rate air assault bike and it was awful.
You got the fit lung, the black lung.
God, well, it's so dry here too. It's just like you're just like, it's like it's just so bad.
It's amazing you can be in as good a shape as you are and sound like you have a smoker's cough. That's really kind of a shocker.
I mean, I live at 5,000 feet, so that doesn't help. And there's no humidity here. It's 10% at best if you're lucky.
Is that an elevation flex? I was like, I live at 5,000 feet.
Yeah. Little elevation flex.
Yeah.
I'm at -10. Get bent.
That's what I'm talking about. What's up, Virginia? Represent.
It was crazy. We were watching the other day this documentary on this Western kid. I think he was from Virginia Tech, and he wanted to go be a porter on the route to Everest Base Camp. So he was carrying 100 to 200 pounds. And of course, this fat college kid is like trying to survive. And these little tiny, Nepalis are just like carrying 220 pounds like it's no big deal. Just the truck on their head, mind you. And he's just like, this is awful. And you get to the hotel and it's just a concrete slab with some pillows on it, and there's no heat. So you're just freezing the entire time.
Oh yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, he made it. He made the entire 11 days, and then I think he got a $100 tip, which is pretty good, I guess. Some of those fat Westerners only pay like $5 for a tip to these guys who are working for 11 days, carrying all their junk around. It's just like, man, if you're gonna like use a porter and tip them, like A, tip them well, but B, don't carry so much crap. Like a lot of these people had like 100 pounds each. Like you just don't need it. You're going to Everest Base Camp. You're not going up Everest. Like, come on. Like, it's a walk.
You see him like, can you see him by the side? Like, the Toyota Land Cruiser has just let you off. You've walked a little bit and you're already video blogging. Like, I don't know if I can go on. I feel like I'm going to
get my little day pack.
Yeah. And one of those porters leans down and goes, "Sir, this is the lobby of the hotel." Like, I don't know if I can go on, sir. This is the dinner area of the hotel. Like, you need to get a grip.
So for this kid, he's not only carrying load that he's probably never carried before, and he's carrying it by his neck because they put that strap around their head. But he starts, so he has to do a 87-kilometer walk to get to work over, I don't know how many days it took to get to work. And then once you're there, then you're doing 11 days of up to the base camp and back at, between 9 and 14,000 feet, probably plus, by the time you get to the end of it. Like,
white people, man. Like, I don't get it. I think I can speak for from both he and I when I say this. Like, miss me with that, dog. Like, I'm out. Ephraim, can I get ruling on that? Is that correct?
I say amen.
You're like, nope. Definitely not.
So we got Chris on here. Chris, you got audio?
Hi, Chris.
I do have audio. Hello. Sweet.
So now you guys are a couple weeks into like, this is really honestly like the prep before Triphasic. It's a lot of volume with the strength work. But what have you guys felt so far?
Exhaustion.
I'm glad I'm not the only one. I get done with the workouts. I'm like, I know you're supposed to finish these, but golly.
I think I finished my first full program day. I think it was yesterday, maybe. Yeah. And that's the one that was like 2 entries. I'm like, oh, I did it finally.
Well, it's funny watching. So like I get the feed of everybody and like the first couple of weeks, everybody's doing the optional stuff. And they're like, I'm doing the optional, I'm doing all this. And then by like week 3, they're just doing the workout. That's it. Because I mean, you look at it, this volume was built for like a Division I elite lacrosse player. And so like, it's a little tough for those of us in the middle age, we're trying to keep up.
I'm so glad you said that. because here I am at 47 going, all I want for Christmas is just to get through one stinking workout.
Right.
It's beat a fast,
the aerosol
man.
bike. Yep.
I'll stop
But no,
complaining.
it's so this is kind of phase, or I should say version 1. So version 1 we'll go through, and it's a little bit modified, but not hugely. And then at some point I'll start to refine it a little bit. I think the big thing is trying to get the main session to under an hour, which is, I think you can cut a lot of the accessory stuff out. I mean, honestly, if you're doing the main lift and the accessories with that lift, you know, you do a couple after that and it should be pretty solid. So also Triphasic 2 is coming out from Cal here pretty soon. Of course, he's been saying that for the last year, but he's got a lot of new stuff. If you look on his YouTube, he's got a ton of new exercise videos and whatnot. So I know it's coming close because all the exercise videos are being recorded for it. So those,
Yeah, that's great.
those will definitely go in the manual.
I just want to survive version 1. We can deal with 2 later.
I've
so it should
played.
be,
I've played with the timing as well. So like, I'm super lucky to have pretty much the gym to myself over where I work out. So if I get there at the perfect time, I can usually set stuff up, and I can usually run it in like an hour 10, depending on what it is. Even with all the accessory work, I might crush into a little over that hour at the accessory side, but it's doable. Some of the stuff I find, even the rest. So some of the rest is generous, I find. Like the rest periods. No, exactly. And so some of them are definitely not. Some of the heavier lift, especially near the end of that last, that compressed phase or compressed cycle that we did. That they were needed. The rest periods were absolutely needed. But some of the stuff
thank God for every second of rest, my friend.
So some of them were definitely needed. Some of the accessory stuff I can get away with rolling in, just resetting weights and everything like that. But I found it goes a lot easier. I mean, after that first, 30 days. It's you have a really good understanding of what you need to do, and going through, even no matter if you watched, previously or not, how you're going to move to the next thing, So that's always I think that helped me more than anything. That and learning the app, and being familiar with the app. Yeah, familiar with the app has immensely helped me out. I'm now down to the point where I'm like annoyed at the app for how slow it is sometimes with clicking screens and stuff. So I've sent like 2 pages of notes to the developers for ideas and things like that.
Of course you have.
Yeah, just because if they do any one of them, it'd be better anyway. So But no, I'm loving it so far. The volume is pretty awesome. I guess I just never looked at it or had something that was calculating all the data for me. So like at the end of it, you're like, I didn't feel too terrible. I mean, it was a decent day, but then all of a sudden you're looking and you're like, well, I lifted in volume 16,000 pounds today. Like, holy shit. So it's
Is that how much I'm supposed to be lifting? 16,000 pounds a day?
Yeah. Well, weren't you at 19 yesterday?
Was I? Yeah, I sure was.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah.
It's interesting talking about
exactly
volume.
what I did.
Because 10,000 is kind of the metric of what's considered high volume. But you look at a lot of this stuff and it's like you're hitting 10,000 in the first week of the first workout. It just goes up from there.
Like I've seen normal. I mean, and you see it. I mean, I've hit pretty normal 13 and 14. The high was 16, I think, a couple times when I was hitting some good stuff. But it's normally over 10,000 most of the time.
Yeah.
When you're doing that stuff, and again that's still messing with. I still think I'm still playing around with some of the PR numbers or the one we're at max. I've been kind of lazy, just not getting on it myself. But I don't know. I'm super limited when it comes down to the stuff to do with the fam and everything. So
let me let you off the hook here. Like after I do a full set of his squats and the warm-ups, and it says, and I'm looking at how much plates to put up, and what I'm thinking about is heavier than the percentage on the app. I'm like, oh, I'll just go with the app. The app sounds better.
The app is good. It's good.
It's good. That's fine, little trooper. You're doing terrific. You're doing great, champ. Yeah, like I'll just go like, wait. I don't want to do 255. I'll just do 205. That sounds so much better. Yes.
Yeah.
That sounded like my
Another-
deadlift day last week.
My
your
hands got
deadlifts.
sore from my deadlifts were hurting from the pull days, the pull-up days. I got sore up on that one, so that was good. I had to go grab a whole bunch of super glue.
Okay, so here's a good question. Nathan's got me on the triphasic for general athleticism because
Tactical triphasic, yeah.
Thank you, tactical trap. It makes it sound better than just for the guy who's 47 and white. You know what I mean? Like, it's kinder. It's a kinder statement. Which ones, Ephraim and Chris? Which ones are you guys on right now?
So they're in the ACFT team, which is also what I'm doing.
Okay.
So basically, we've got I could do the phases individually for people, but I've got them all in the same time. So like everybody's doing the same thing at the same time. So it's a little bit easier for me to manage. Like, hey, this week don't forget to eat low carb. I'm like, Ephraim just does it all the time. And then he's like, man, this really
ridiculous.
Sucks.
Like I'm so hungry. I'm so hungry all the time. It's just like taping your mouth and doing max heart rate days. You just got to do it all the time.
Yeah.
I literally almost died. I literally almost died that day. It's like, you didn't tell me not to take. Last commands. I followed the last command.
Yeah, he tried to get me on that stuff. I was like, listen, I've watched horror movies. I know how this ends. No way I'm doing that. Like, forget that action. So try it out. See how you like it. Like, no, don't need to know how I like it. I already know how I like it.
I do not.
I feel like I'm on this podcast to be the voice of reason that most people can identify with. Like, yeah, these other freaks of nature, I don't really understand what they're saying, but that other guy, like, I feel like he speaks to my soul.
Oh, that's funny.
It's
By the way, Ephraim, that hoodie is baller.
Mercy
I've got
buckets.
I've got the multicam black one.
Nice.
Of course you do.
Yeah. Gotta blend into the night, I mean, that's gonna be the new Space Force, camouflage, just multicam black, obviously.
Every time I get excited about multicam black again, I see some obese guy. Now let me say obese white guy with a beard at a class. I'm just like, thanks for ruining it for us.
I call multicam black sweat stained camo because it looks just like someone has black BDUs with sweat stains and they rolled around with some grass.
Oh, like the salt is coming out, but
yeah,
it's the pattern. Yeah.
Yep.
What you're really saying is just fat white guy cam. That's what you're really saying. It's fat white guy cam.
Wow.
It's like, well, I wasn't gonna say that, but yeah, you're right.
Duke, I'd send you a photo of it under nods again, but I don't own any black multicam, so sorry.
I actually
It's
have
okay.
a BCM.
It's okay.
I
Yeah,
actually
she
have
did.
a
She
BCM
sent me like
gun. Good.
You have a BCM gun. What?
That is multicam black. It's the only thing that I have in multicam black. It's hilarious.
Wow.
It's wild. It's it's one of their Mark II guns. Yeah.
I feel like you're the inventory connoisseur of what BCM puts out. It's like you're the guy.
I play around with it. I've been known to dabble. My very good friend, Jason Crosby, in all his glory. He's a early adopter, and rubbed off on me a bit.
I think he would be more appropriately called the jazz flute of the Bravo Company family. Like you
The
dabble.
jazz flute. The
Yeah,
jazz
you play BCM like jazz flute. Like you're the man. Mr. Burgundy, will you play jazz flute for us tonight? Well, I'm so unexpected. So unexpected. That may have been a little bit
unfortunately,
too of an obscure reference.
I was gonna say, unfortunately, last time you guys missed out on Mick. We talked about his competition and
awesome.
his whole process and everything. And so I thought it was recorded, and of course I did it on mobile, and it didn't. I was like, So this time I want to make
Way
sure I
to
did it on
go,
laptop
Warrant
and
Officer
make sure it's
3.
recorded. I was like, come on. It was one of those, I don't know, it was one of those weird things where like I had the meeting open, and then it's like, hey, record it like this, but then I was recording the meeting that I was just into, and then I had to let him in. I don't know. It was weird. Anyway, so yeah. So it was
Dude,
it was
that
good
guy's
though.
forgotten more about training for combatives and and events and competitions than most people will ever learn.
Yeah. And I don't know if you guys got to watch his videos, but he was pretty solid. He's like, yeah, I had no, even against the really strong dude, he's like, I had no limitations in strength or endurance or conditioning or anything like that. It was
so legit.
It was all just the actual game, which I mean, that's what training's supposed to be for, is you just focus on the game, and that's it. Or in our case,
That's an
survive the
excellent
fight,
statement.
whatever it is.
That's an excellent statement.
It's kind of like
it makes me think.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like the old saying back in the day of fight the fight, not your gear. It's the same thing, I think, with strength and conditioning, is like fight the fight, not your conditioning and your biology.
I don't want to be thinking about anything but technique and strategy into the third minute of a fight, and not be thinking about, like, man, I wish I hadn't avoided that assault bike so much during the prep phase. This really sucks.
Yeah.
Well, that's like
I
automating.
think there's. Yeah, go ahead.
That's like
Chris.
automating. That's like automating everything for TQB. Automate your shooting. Automate, as much as possible so that you can just focus on processing.
Yep.
I like that. That's good stuff.
I'm just quoting other people, Duke.
I saw an interview with there's a rookie quarterback that for the New England Patriots this year, and for the people who are just like not into sports ball, I get it. But the thing that everybody is just like so shocked by is that he's working already as a rookie on like the nuances, like using his eyes to deceive defenses and things like that. He's already got the playbook memorized. He's already got the offense memorized. So he's got all of that out of the way, and now he can just play. And I think of like the strength training that you got. I can't speak for the ACFT because that just looks awful, but it really does. But the general athleticism, triphasic stuff is just like, it's getting the strength and conditioning out of the way, and now I can just be thinking about other things. And
when
it's
yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm done. That's it.
I was going to say, going back to the volume thing. Cal was talking on a podcast, and he's just like, what I find is that I don't have to worry about conditioning as much when I do higher volume, specifically when I do 5 days a week of training. Now I don't have to waste time, I guess if you could call it that, on conditioning, because there's so much work being done. Your conditioning just goes up.
That's a great statement. I remember talking to another friend of mine who came from a specially selected unit within JSOC. We were talking about fitness, and he said, back in the day, this just used to be called hard work.
Yeah.
Like we didn't, like you pushed a wheelbarrow up and down the aisles of your farm. You tanned hides, you fed the cattle, things like that. Like you threw bales of hay onto a cart. Like it was just work.
Yep.
And that really kind of like was an eye opener. Like, so when you said that, it got me thinking about that again. That if I can just keep doing the work. There's a lot of things I won't have to spend as much time on to focus on. That's awesome.
Yep. No, I think it comes back to the. Go ahead.
I was just going to bring up, Chris, didn't you say you had pretty good VO2 max and some numbers, and we weren't even working on that at all this time, other than volume.
Yeah, I had dropped down to like 43 a month or two ago. So maybe a month before starting, and that was coming down off of probably a good 2-3 month time period of deconditioning due to a course. Maybe even more than that. And then I think it was maybe 4 weeks in, it dropped, or it popped up 2 points to 45, and I was like, oh, okay, all right, I'll take it. It was very abrupt.
Yeah. One of the things I like about this whole longer term program is that a lot of programs are like, well, we work strength and conditioning and mobility and blah, blah, blah. This is the only one I found that actually is able to maintain it throughout the entire time. So you may be working on strength, but your conditioning still be maintained, because these max heart rate intervals suck. I mean, they're awful, but they maintain your aerobic levels.
Yeah, that's phenomenal.
I can see the little incremental stuff being a more normal person of the four of us, and not like the specimen of genetic superiority like the rest of the three of you are. But the rest periods where you used to pray for the 2-minute ones, now you're like ready to go a lot quicker. And it's those little ones. I hear you laughing, lady. And it's those little, what do you call them? It's the little vibes. It's the good vibes, the small,
endorphins,
movements of the needle where you're like, yeah, small victories. Thank you. Where you're just like, hey, I feel great. I got enough for another full set of 12 back squats. Thank you, Nathan. May you not rest in peace. And you're like, seriously, like 4 sets of 12 at 75%. You're like, but halfway through the recovery, you're like, okay, ready to go. And you're like, hey, this is really working. Like, I'm able to go back to work a lot quicker, versus like be on one knee and like just wanting to survive. This is where you insert the gif of Robert Downey Jr. with his aviators and Tropic Thunder going, survive. And you're just like, trying to get through this, trying to live. I just want to live. Like, and now it's like, hey, I'm ready to go again, and I can do it, and I can get through the whole thing, and I have more gas in the tank. And I think, Nathan, you said it best one time, you're not supposed to leave the gym feeling crushed every time. And that was where you part ways with a lot of the, functional fitness, other people who shall not be named CrossFit. So that was just an observation that, like, I'm able to get back to work quicker. And that really is like a neat thing. Like, hey, I got more in the tank. This is great.
Yep. And part of that's, a good chunk of that is from the volume. And then a good chunk of that, I think, is not really noticed. But the RPR, doing the RPR really resets the breathing, which resets the entire system.
So good.
Which then, you start just performing better, and you're like, oh, whatever, it must be the programming. But a lot of it, I mean, the programming is good, but I hate to say it, a lot of it's probably RPR. It's actually having an effect on the nervous system.
Hey, I don't care if it's witchcraft, voodoo, sninkle, or what, but whatever it is, it's working.
Yeah. And when you combine everything with good programming, RPR, doing the spring ankle stuff, you're doing all these little tiny things that are just kind of adding up over time.
Yeah. The consistency, it helps too, but doing the RPR every time and getting things loosened up, being able to like work your thumbs on your hip bones, and then you feel it shoot all the way down into your knees. You're all of a sudden like your legs aren't sore anymore. Like, that's weird. Cool.
Yeah.
Like super cool, but like weird. Like you're going like, wow.
I really thought when I first saw it, when Nathan first sent it, I was like, that's not real. It's like, I don't know. He's been in Colorado far too long, getting contact high from all
Put
those
the
hippies.
pipe
So I was
down,
like,
Nathan Craig.
like rub my chest bone and then my ribs. I was like, no, that's not going to work. And then halfway through it, I'm like, why am I tingling? There's something wrong. I may have to reevaluate, but I definitely got to say that the Reaper and the knees over toes and the ankle work has like absolutely helped everything else that I've had just with injuries. alone.
Yep.
If I just had that, I'd be in a better spot now. And now I'm moving better than I was probably 10 years ago.
I'm with Ephraim. I wish I'd had this 10 years ago as well. I'd be like so far ahead of the curve now.
Yep.
It's funny. Listen to Cal the other day. He's like, I kept this a secret for like a decade because it was a secret weapon, right? For his athletes.
Yep.
And then him and Chris Corfus got together and they're like, dude, we've got to be helping coaches. Like there are so many coaches, especially at like the high school level, who could be using this on their athletes, and now just athletes being able to do it because it's just such a game changer, and it's such a small thing. It takes, 2 to 3 minutes and I mean, you could teach this to a high school team and they're ready to play. Like, you have less issues with injury.
My
What was that
daughter
football
does it.
team? It was like a 2A team. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just saying my daughter does it for soccer and she's
Nice.
all about it.
Nice.
What was
That's
that
great.
video that you sent us, Nathan, about like the college football team who went to like 0 injuries
Yeah.
because
I
of
think
RPR?
it was, so this, I want to say the coach he's been in and out of football for 20 some years, college, high school, pro. And he said that the year that they implemented RPR was the first year they had no soft tissue injuries from non-contact.
Oh, soft tissue injuries. Yeah.
Yeah. Cause I mean,
Wow.
contact,
Still,
you're
that's
still going to have
amazing,
like
though.
broken fingers and yeah. And Cal, I think when he first did it with the hockey team, they had something ridiculous, like 1,500 sessions, practices, and games without a single injury other than contact.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
That's
pretty
crazy.
I'll say this.
He was also.
I feel like
Yeah,
Cal's.
go ahead.
So I'll say this for that too. I don't know if it's RPR or the whole warm up itself, but I've done a lot of like traditional warm ups over the years, just static stuff. I
Yep.
really do like the dynamic stuff, and like right now for me, like prior to this, I was having issues with the whole right side of my body with like hamstring tightness all the way up into my back, et cetera, et cetera. That's greatly diminished. And I don't feel like I've put a lot of work into targeting that. And it's phenomenal that it's gone down as much as it has and isn't bothering me. So
Interesting.
I don't know what it is.
I think the efficiency of the overall programming, both for you guys and for what he's got me on, that things just get handled in the course of the workload. Like you don't have to target, like, I want to work legs. I need to get my legs built out. Like Nathan's like, that's going to get handled. Just stick with it. You know what I mean? Like it's so efficient and everything gets worked together like it should. Like you're not, we've broken the machine down to smallest, buys, tries, back, shoulders, but now you're working everything together like an athlete should. And it's just like, oh, it's all doing this. Oh, okay.
Yep.
For the future, this is a little bit of insight from Chris Corfus was on a podcast. I don't remember which one it was, but he's saying he had a lot of issues coming back from COVID with a lot of his athletes. And he's like, what is going on? Like what? Like he started having, I think it was hamstring issues. He's like, I don't know what's up. Like we've never had any issues until now. And so he refined their warm-up process specifically with some RPR stuff. And that's supposed to be coming out here pretty soon. And it's going to be, basically it's like RPR 2.0 as far as like warm-ups and like specific warm-up and stuff like that. He's found as completely mitigated. Yeah. So I mean, this is from a guy, for, the last decades had no injuries because of RPR, then, had to deal with it because of COVID and the break they had with the athletes, and now refined it to a better process. So I think that's going to be pretty cool.
Well, if this
really interesting. Yeah, go ahead. Nope, your audio is broken up.
Go ahead.
Try now.
You're the boss. Can you hear me? Testing.
Yeah, it's a little bit better now. Yeah.
Never mind. You go ahead and talk.
Well, I was gonna say, Cal had also mentioned sometimes what you find, and I'll kind of like tie in two pieces of this with the RPR stuff. Is he's found some people like they're like, hey, why'd the lights in the room get brighter? They're like, no, they didn't, dude. Like your nervous system finally just opened up those little reserves of your vision from the RPR. And the other thing that I think will tie into the tactical world pretty well, the goat drill, which if you guys aren't super familiar, is basically figure eight. So you're doing a figure eight backwards, forwards. You can carry kettlebell, you can sprint it. He does all sorts of complex stuff where he's got people like blocking their vision while they're trying to look at something, increasing stuff like that. But what he does find is that if there was an undiagnosed TBI or head injury, those kids tend to get nauseous when they do that drill. And so they're kind of like, let's go get you checked for TBI. And sure enough, they had a concussion that they didn't even know.
Well,
Super cool.
If the plain vanilla stuff works this good, I'm excited to see what the next level of the voodoo does.
Yeah. And so a lot of the goat drill, you guys can look that up on YouTube. It's just called the goat drill, and Cal does his whole little thing through it. It's just infinity walks. It's just advanced infinity walks. You can start off with just walking in a figure eight while you're watching TV. The main goal is to A, walk in a figure eight, but B, keep your head looking at a specific object. So if you're a sport athlete, he typically has like a puck hanging on a string, a softball hanging on a string, baseball hanging on a string, whatever the game tool is. But for us, what you can do is you can get into, say, that presentation position and actually just keep your eye. If you've got a sim gun, you can use a sim gun. If not, just even presenting and then walking in figure eights. So like if you're
So when we
footwork too.
when we did that, go ahead.
That's great for footwork too. Shoot house stuff.
Yep. What were you gonna say, Ephraim?
I was just that the figure eight stuff is pretty good. I'm pretty sure-footed for the most part, but doing that really started getting my my brain into the spatial awareness of stuff. So I've cracked my head a good number of times. So I have some not cognitive issues so much, but like a spatial stuff, little things that are a little harder to do these days. Spatially trying to figure out movement and everything. But that really helped me get back into not having to think about it, to where say like a plate was on the ground where I'm going the figure eights around both of them, or the dumbbell that I had set up. So it's obviously if you don't use it, you lose it. So that I've been incorporating that a little bit more into even the warm up, just to make sure that I keep on that.
Yeah. So kind of the background, this came from I believe it was like an adolescent neuropsychologist or something. And what she did is she was doing this prior to their session. And what she found is that the kids were just much more open. And so what Cal's found is that anytime you want the brain to learn faster and better, you do the goat drill, you do the figure eights, whether it's technical training, whether it's your practice for a game, whether it is the game itself, or whether it's just your strength training. He's found that if you do it before any of those, you just learn faster and the brain just develops those neural pathways a lot better.
Magic science.
So for our world, I would just do it before you go on the range, just do some figure eights and then do your drills. And then you can even do some shooting drills, with figure eights.
Nathan, can you send me a link to that so I can make sure I'm doing it right?
Yeah.
Not just Ephraim said walk in a figure eight, and I'm walking in a figure eight, and I'm not hearing music, like I'm not seeing colors flash before my eyes. Like I want to make sure I'm doing it right.
Let's see, go drill part one. So there's two parts to it, but I'll just shoot you the first one. And then I'm sure the second one will just be recommended right there.
Yeah, the one thing that the one thing that is different than just walking a figure eight is keeping that attention, that head movement at at the one point, and that's the big thing.
Oh, got it.
It feels really weird going one way when you're not used to it. So one way is definitely your strong side, and then the other side when you're going the other way, you're like, am I supposed to be breakdancing? I think I'm breakdancing now. So that just stick to it though. You'll definitely get it. You'll start feeling it. But it's a thing. Like it really is a thing. You'll feel really, really weird one way, and the other way, like I said, will be pretty simple. But the other way, that's the one you work on.
Ephraim, did you ever do like a sports camp or team building exercises? I put that in air quotes or whatever, where you put a base like a wiffle ball bat down and you spin around in circles with your forehead on the wiffle ball bat and then try to run in a straight line. Did you ever do anything like that?
Padre, we do that at the family like every week. Like we do it at home.
Hey,
what are you talking
we do
about?
that in the backyard. What are you talking about?
Heck yeah. That's the best races you can ever have.
Winner gets the last brownie. What are you talking about?
I'd be interested to see what the effects, like if you find somebody who's just really struggling with something like that, if you could find something, if there's like an issue with their vestibular system, I'm pretty sure you would find that most likely. Now, whether that's from TBI or it's from something else, I know me in 2009-ish timeframe, I think I was doing combatives level 2 for the second time because of course I lost the paperwork. And yeah. So
learn to get punched in the
warm-ups,
face multiple times.
Level 2 is not so bad, so it's not bad. I did go through level 1. No, I only went through level 1 once, but I went through level 2 twice. But in the warm-ups, you're looking at an hour to an hour and a half of rolling, like just doing somersaults and rolls and stuff like that. And my head was just crushed from it. And I don't know if that was from post deployment where me and Doc had talked about this, the micro TBI you get from just the concussion of shooting 50 cals, of explosions going off, of shooting a lot, and all those little micro concussions kind of add up. And so I suspect a lot of it was from that. And I was just so dizzy and so nauseous. I'm like, man, this is not good. And it was definitely a vestibular issue.
We talked about this last time because there was one exercise. I don't remember what exercise it was though in just recent times, but I don't like it. So same reason why I dislike burpees, just for the fact that it's called a burpee, I dislike it anyway. But like burpee itself, like any movement that's up and down and movement like that still gives me a crushing headache, and I get pretty dizzy pretty quick on that. And I think it's the same thing that you were talking about.
I thought I was the only one, man. I feel better
no
now.
Way. I avoid that stuff like the plague if I can, just for the fact that I don't feel so well for it. I've gotten better, but again, it's just like I try to avoid it if I can for that.
So something that would be interesting is if you guys figured out your personalized vestibular vision. I think it's the VAR reset is what Cal calls it, but it's in his recovery manual. Yeah, the recovery manual. And I'd be interested to see what would happen if you did the VAR and then did that exercise and see if it cleaned it up.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
I have this same thing happen if I do bench presses and then have to get up, reset, and then lay back down real quick. I have to go from vertical to horizontal, back and forth real quick. I get the same like, all right, somebody make the room stop spinning.
Yeah.
So
yeah, if you guys go onto, I think it's on CoachTube, is his recovery manual. I think it's like $20. But there's a whole, unfortunately, the videos for the testing are on there. I think I found one of them on YouTube, but I mean, you should buy the manual anyways, just because he's got good stuff in there. But the basic premise of the recovery manual is the whole body is based on survival. So if you reset the vision, the vestibular, and the proprioceptive first, everything else will fall in line, and therefore you'll recover faster. So you're getting the visual with a lot of those drills, and then you get the vestibular with your individual VARs, and then you've got the proprioceptive is also kind of integrated in there. And then obviously you do goat drill, kind of takes care of two of those, vision and vestibular, and actually probably take care of all three, to be honest, which is probably why he does it so often.
Have you heard of what's called, I think it's called NeuroWave or Wave Neuro? maybe one of those. It's a
I don't think so.
I'll have to send it to you. We were playing around with it here at work.
Yeah.
And Natick has been doing the heavy lifting on it, but it was showing some good results in like how the waves, how personnel have different wavelengths of, you know, like alpha, beta, whatever the types of waves
Delta,
that you have. Yeah, all your layout of who you are, right? Certain people have stronger alpha waves and they have this type of personality, et cetera, whatever. But there was some work done that it was resetting people with TBI and resetting people who had gotten off sync a little bit to where they wore this, like, you know, kind of helmet thing, and not licking Windows helmet, but helmet that looked really like neuroreceptors on it and everything. And they were having some pretty good results with resetting stuff like you were saying, in the sense of you know, people who got dizzy, people who had TBI, people who had even PTSD guys who were kind of wrecked up on their wavelengths and everything. And it was pretty interesting to see some of the, you know, blind studies that, you know, you're not, you know, it's not a infomercial saying to come check this out, but like, you know, even a wife was like, I got my husband back because, you know, he's been on this, and it said it, and it's not a long-term thing where you have to do it over and over and over. It's one of those things where you can do it, you know, like 5 sessions in the month, and it can really set you right. But I'll send you the info, and you can send it out if you want. But it was pretty interesting. I thought it was pretty kind of neat.
There's been a lot of stuff in the last, I want to say, like 2 years on frequency and just being able to reset like emotions and personality, and like, and obviously some of the neurological stuff too. And when you look at things like PTSD, there's a good chunk of those that are just undiagnosed TBI. And so if you're trying to treat PTSD, you're now treating the flu with cold medicine and it doesn't work. And they're like, oh, I don't know what's going on. But if you actually treat the TBI, next thing you know, the guy feels fine. Yeah, there's definitely some interesting stuff coming out, I think, over the next couple of years on frequency and stuff like that. And the other thing too, you look at how do all that stuff connect? Like, you know, how do personalities relate to brain waves? Well, you've got neurotransmitters that are already starting that at a different level too. So like based on which neurotransmitters you're sensitive to, you know, combined with what food are you consuming and your environment and everything else that affects those. So you can kind of start to get a pretty good idea of how to bring somebody back up to what they consider normal and
slowly hides the Dorito bag off the camera.
I mean, that might hit the serotonin, you know, if you need serotonin.
Oh, hey, listen, in serotonin, endorphins, the whole thing. That's what's
so
up.
I don't know if we've discussed before Christian Thibodeau's neurotyping. I don't know if we've talked about that all on the podcast. So the basic gist is he took addiction research and then profiled his athletes by just doing some questionnaires and whatnot, and just kind of determining personalities. And what he found is that there's a connection between the addiction personality and which neurotransmitters they're actually most sensitive to. So it's not this whole like personality thing so much as here's the neurotransmitters you're actually the most sensitive to. So therefore, if you're sensitive to, say, serotonin, I'm not going to give you a crazy powerlifting workout. I'm going to tell you to go do some like yoga every single day, do the exact same 5 moves, like, because that's what a very serotonin sensitive person is going to want. And a lot of that is because their neurotransmitters are just going like all over the place. And so they need calm by reducing the stress load. Versus on the other end, you have somebody who's dopamine sensitive and they're just like, give me all the aggression, give me all the powerlifting, give me all the extreme everything. I'm going to beat everyone at everything. Like, so you get those different spans, and it's not just a personality thing, but it's driven by what neurotransmitters are actually most sensitive to.
I'd be interested to know like what the mobility and attack fit like the warrior mobility. Sorry for the beeping. I would be interested to know like what's that helping release, on which side of that spectrum, dopamine, serotonin, both, you know what I mean? Like, because I always feel so much better after mobility.
Well, and that's the thing too about the neurotyping is it kind of gives you a general guide, but at the same time, there's things that are just kind of universal with humans. Like generally for most people, going and sitting on the beach by the ocean, which is what I have on my background, like most people feel pretty good there. Like it's not very often that you bring somebody to the beach and they just like, they can't feel good, you know? So there's some universal stuff in there.
That's awesome. Guys, I got to bounce. I just got my chicken out of the broiler. Love you. Check you on the flip side.
Peace out.
Later, guys.
Bye, dude.
You guys got anything else you want to chat about in the next couple minutes?
I actually wanted to real quick hit the close thing since we're here and might as well talk about it in voice. So clothes wise, I'm gonna be tomorrow. I'm gonna wear jeans. So I'm a big jean wearer. So and I say performance jean. My jeans are normally
we'll find out.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Like I don't have barbell. I'm not a barbell jean guy, but I have like the old what are they called? The old Romeo X Adaptive X before they change names like 2 more times or whatever. And I got a couple of those, and but I'm gonna see what's up if there's binding or whatever. Most of the other stuff, those regular pants, I have real good movement.
Yep.
I didn't have any problems with it. They breathed well enough to where I wasn't. They weren't sticking, if you would, to you.
Yep.
I hate that. It's more of a comfort thing. I mean, if you're getting shot at and shooting, you don't really care about what you have on for the most part. But there's a comfort part on that it's not distracting or anything like that. So that was more my main reason. That and wearing some of the EDC stuff in my pockets and on me on my belt line to see if it caused any issues with movement and stuff like that. And it didn't. It most of this stuff is pretty function like I figured it would. But I definitely like to see some of those. I'm gonna be looking up some of those pants and the shirts you said. Just because I don't see a reason not to check them out, especially with all the shops I have here that I can even go look and check out.
Yeah, I have not. So I haven't gotten to try the Zenkai yet. So the basic premise. So I think it's made of, I think it's cotton, and they put a coating on it that actually makes it pretty water repellent, which sounds like it would be like a trash bag. But their philosophy is they want a light coat of sweat, because a lot of these super breathable shirts are actually making you overheat because the sweat isn't sticking and basically cooling you off. And so their philosophy is to get a light sweat coating so that way you actually cool off. And then it still is super breathable at the same time. So I'm interested to see how it performs. I'm probably going to use it on the next max heart rate or whatever the cardiac thing is for next Wednesday. It's probably what I'm gonna try it. I got both the shorts and the shirt and see what happens.
That's that principle you talk about. I think that's why those Velocity Systems rugby shirts work so well. Like those shirts work so. I mean, I can't wear them half the time just because I'll get too cold. I'll start getting goosebumps and stuff because they have such a cooling effect with that layer of wet material that stays there with that secondary layer that's pulling it away as well. It's pretty dope. But yeah, same thing. I'm gonna check it out. Cool.
And on the flip side, when I do all the trail stuff, I go the complete opposite because being wet is death. Like you're gonna die in the mountains if you're wet.
Oh yeah.
So most of my stuff is very, how fast does it dry is usually what I look for. It's like, how fast can I get this thing dry? because
Yep.
that's just the environment. You don't want to. You want a shirt that's you can use year round. You can use for travel. You can use for daily life without having to worry about it being a liability.
I'd be interested in those recommendations too for my husband also, because I'm always
Yeah.
trying to get better gear and clothing if he'll listen to me. But Ephraim, have you used the Prana Bridger jeans at all?
No. The first time I even heard about that name was Nathan dropped it in there, and then I started looking on the
Oh, you
internet.
haven't?
So.
Oh, you haven't
Yeah.
tried the Zion stretch?
No.
Yeah.
No, I've never.
Right.
I don't think I've seen him in person.
Yeah, so they've got
I
great.
should say.
They've got great. I only wear Prana jeans, and I just have to get pockets sewn in them because women's pockets are always too small. But they have great women's or great men's jeans also, and Clint just bought a second pair. Well, not a second pair, a multiple like fifth pair. And one of his older pairs he just turned into his range pants, and not because they're like super nasty or whatever. It's because like he can get down into some of these positions with rifle and stuff that he needs to in these jeans, which is amazing.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check them out. They sell them at REI, you think?
Yeah. The Zion stretch for sure. I don't know about the Bridger.
Okay.
So you could probably get away with it year round, but in the summer, like you're gonna be a little warm. I've worn them overseas in places that we're not supposed to be in, and I was fine in the summer. So I brought those just kind of my universal travel round pant when I was over there. But I prefer to do it mostly in the cooler weather, and then I wear the OR Ferracis, when it's warmer, and I can wear those in the summer and not overheat.
Okay. I run cold
Basically,
anyway, so I'm down.
Yeah. So they basically
I'm
built
down.
those for it's a yoga company, but the vast majority of people who originally got the Zion stretch were climbers, and so they've got enough mobility to climb, and they're fairly abrasion resistant, and they actually look pretty decent. Like I get compliments on them all the time. Like I'm just walking around, I'm like, oh sure, whatever.
Is there a logo like a leaf or something?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, I do know what you're talking about then. Okay, I have seen those.
Yep.
But I've never even like picked them up or anything like that. No, I'll check them out. Sounds like a good looking out.
Yeah, they're pretty stretchy. They're pretty durable. So yeah.
What'd you say earlier, Ephraim? Every time you talk to your friends, you spend more money.
Yeah, see, that's exactly what happens. It's literally what happens. Like I'm about to go now drop a couple $100 on jeans because I'm the type like as well that if I find a pant or a jean that fits and I like it, I will buy then 3 or 4 pairs because I'm not about to like have them disappear on me.
So the other thing I like about the at least the Zion stretch, I don't know if the Bridger jeans have them, but they have a pull tab on the waist, just off to the side a little bit. So you can buy like something for that you're going to have your pistol in the waistband. But then if you decide to go out of the waistband, you just cinch that thing down and they'll stay up without a belt.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll be damned.
And if you wear a belt over it, that buckle you don't really feel it. It's pretty low profile.
Sweet. Oh yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, let me get out of here. I got the family to go take care of. So they're all on the stick.
Well, good chat.
household.
We'll try to do this again. I guess we got the holidays coming up, so probably in January. And just for you guys, if you have anybody that wants to get into the ACFT I want to say it's the second week of January, around the 7th or so. Basically, we'll be going into another GPP phase. So we'll be finishing up the strength into GPP. So that's probably the best entry point. But honestly, if somebody's like pretty decent on strength, they could jump in right now if they want to check it out for a free week or whatever. Because Trainer Rogue does a free week across the board on all programs or all teams rather. But yeah, if you got anybody that wants to get in, that's probably going to be the next entry point is around that first. And I get it because it's January and like gyms are going to be super busy, but it's it just happens to line up. So
right on. Awesome. All right.
Cool.
Well, have an amazing evening. If I don't talk to you guys, which I'm sure I will. Merry Christmas.
Yep.
Happy New Year.
All right.
All right.
We'll be working out on Christmas Eve, so
Yes, we will. Fitting these cookies in my mouth.
weighted pull-ups.
That's
Yeah.
right. 8-ounce
The
eggnog
the
curls.
one no low carb day.
Right. Speaking
Awesome.
of which,
All right.
if you look
Go
at the
ahead.
beginning of the phases, and it's got some of the videos, I also put in the nutrition recommendations and supplements in there. So if you missed those,
I don't read that stuff. I just want to go
so-
fast.
right. All right, cool. I'll chat
Awesome.
with you guys later.
All right. Take
All
care.
right.
All right,
Yeah, have a good one.
later.